This is the Analysing Anfield podcast on the Blood Red channel, bringing you the best tactical and statistical analysis of Liverpool FC.
Hello everybody and welcome to this week's episode of Analysing Anfield, your tactics and analytics podcast, courtesy of the Blood Red channel. I'm joined as always by David Hughes. How you doing, mate?
I'm okay, thanks Josh, how are you?
I'm alright, how's the week?
Long. It's like a bouffant at the back now. I'm trying to get someone. Yeah, I'm trying to get someone to cut it for me. No, just a scissor job at home, of course. But it feels like nobody wants to step up and do it. I still want to keep the length, but it just needs to be thinned out a little bit. It's just growing like out at the moment. But yeah. Mate, it's an ongoing saga. Put it that way.
Definitely is an ongoing saga. It's the theme of the coronavirus thing.
I feel like yours has come back quite quick, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm happy with the length at the minute, but I think it's very quickly going to go down, especially because I've got a double crown, mate, so especially when it starts going all over the place and that. Anyway, back to the football.
Yeah, I'm glad you got that out of the way for another week.
Yeah, this week we are going to address and talk about players who have left Liverpool or maybe on loan, and was it the right move? Why hasn't it worked for them? Why has it worked for them since they've gone? Would they fit into the current side? Are they suited to Klopp? Good or bad business? All that sort of thing. I think, there's a variety of players, specifically two off the top of my head, that I think have received a lot of publicity since they've left. A lot of talk, everyone's got an opinion on it. So we're going to go down that route, really. So first things first, I think we have to go straight into the obvious lever, and that is Philippe Coutinho. First of all, Dave, general thoughts on Coutinho as a player, I think.
Yeah, fantastic player. Almost felt like Liverpool's real elite player when they weren't quite an elite side. Certainly in Klopp's early days and at the end of Rodgers, they were a good side, but not quite elite. But he always felt like a real top talent. Technically, he's fantastic. So comfortable on the ball, insane passing range, great dribbler. He was just a fantastic player. He often looks so effortless as well. He was just such a good player for Liverpool, and those kind of last 2 years before he eventually left to go to Barcelona, I thought at times he was unplayable. Really good player.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I was really fond of Coutinho. Still am, and I'm still a little bit sad for him, the fact that it hasn't really panned out for him as expected, and I think he's too good to be drifting between clubs like he is right now. There'll be some Reds that are listening, I'm sure, who are, not really fussed, considering he, to a degree, forced himself out the club, I suppose. I understand that. I understand all different perspectives on it, but for me, he was a player who just over the years, just constant little flashes of magic. He'd do things on the ball that, from an entertainment perspective, watching football, the types of things he was doing that make you fall in love with the game, I thought. Just little bits of genius here and there. I think he took a while to establish a degree of consistency, which I think he achieved maybe just before Klopp came in, at the back end of Rodgers' time. So that would be around 2015, but Coutinho was still only about 22, 23 then. And I think there's a bit of an unreasonable expectation on top players and top talents who are playing for clubs that aren't really at the top yet. There's too much emphasis, I think, on them early on to be consistent. I see that with Rashford at Old Trafford as well now. I think Rashford's 23 or something, but people don't think he's going to make it because he's not consistent enough. He's still a kid.
Yeah, I agree. It almost feels like the outliers, like the pure exceptional one of a kind talent, like Mbappe's and I mean Alphonso Davies now is probably a good example. It's like to some they then become the bar of success, and in reality they're not, are they? They're complete outliers, elite, but you still be a great player, kind of progressing and developing at a good rate without necessarily being at that level at like 20. And what I will say, Josh, is when you said that there about him being, 22, 23, I was actually surprised at that. You kind of forget how young he was in that period, because that still is pretty young. A lot of top players haven't really, brackets made it at that age. And he was obviously a top player quite early on when you reflect on it.
Yeah, I mean, he's still technically quite young, only 27, so he's still, I wouldn't say he's at the back end of his peak just yet. It's kind of in the middle of it, I suppose. But have you got any thoughts on basically why his move to Barcelona just hasn't really worked? Why he hasn't progressed? Why, if you was to ask him, he'd probably take it all back. I think it's reasonable to expect him to snap your hand off if you're offered him a move back to Liverpool. So, have you got any thoughts on why it hasn't worked? Because I've got quite a few on this.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, which is something I said before, comes down to the fact that he's the type of player where you build a team around. And I'll touch on that a little bit in a second. But he's given a lot of freedom. He's the main focal point normally in possession. All these things he had at Liverpool a lot, even with Klopp, and even when some of the players that in the side now were there, it was still a similar situation where he was still kind of the focal point of the attack. You go to Barcelona and that just isn't the case, because they've obviously already got a superstar in the form of Messi. He is that person, and I just think it's a little bit more difficult sometimes to be the supporting cast rather than the main star. And I think he has just struggled potentially to adjust. Plus, Barcelona is a ruthless place to try and be successful. You basically need to hit the ground running, otherwise you're going to fall behind. We've seen examples of that at places like Barcelona, Real Madrid as well, those kind of clubs. And I just don't think it happens straight away. And when it doesn't happen straight away, the pressure starts building. When you're struggling even more to try and adjust to this kind of change in role. And I just think that all accumulated in him obviously not being the success that they hope for.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's a lot of what you've just said there ties in with my thoughts as well. I think at Liverpool and for Brazil as well, he's a ball dominant player. One of those who he has a big slice of the attacking pie, if you like. Lots of touches, lots of passes, and lots of shots. Basically, most attackers maybe tick one of those boxes, two of them maybe, but not all three. You don't get many ticking all three. Mo Salah, for example, lots of shots, but maybe about 30 passes a match, something like that, which isn't a great deal. Coutinho, I think, averages over 50 passes a game. So as I said, just a big slice of the pie at Liverpool, and a role that was just kind of tailored for him to just do his thing, basically for him to just sell himself. But that player in Barcelona is Messi. Messi sees a lot of the ball, lots of touches, lots of shots. Everything goes through him. Whether you believe that's how a team should be run or not is another question. But and considering Valverde was in charge at the time, quite a functional coach. I think he's very well functional. I think functional is the word for it. And
yeah, that's a great word, I think.
Yeah, if you've got a functional system, you can allow one player to kind of no responsibility, if you like, and to just kind of almost do what he wants with a bit of a free roll. If you let another player do that, things start getting a little bit messy. No pun intended there.
I was going to say, is he going to acknowledge that one or what?
So yeah, he went to Barcelona and just kind of fulfilled a functional role, like a Dirk Kuyt type role at Liverpool, or I'm just trying to think of those players who've just came in as like a cog rather than a star man. So I'm not overly sure why Barcelona bought him, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a good
Because
point.
what the reasons he shined as a top player, he was permitted from doing that on the pitch once he got to Spain.
Just before we continue on, maybe talking about Liverpool since and stuff, just on Barcelona in general, do you think as a kind of, and I'm talking about the top end recruitment they do, I'm not talking about at youth levels because I don't know enough of that, but do you think they're a little bit not lazy, but I don't know, do you think sometimes they pursue big names rather than necessarily the right players?
Yeah, I think Jurgen Guardiola's dominance over there, he became a club that needed to just consistently keep winning right now, and he moved into
Mm,
the Real Madrid bracket of just buying players who were just absolutely ready to compete at the elite end of the game.
mm,
And don't know, you can overlook some gems doing that. You can overlook your academy prospects doing that, and they're still winning largely because I think they've still got Messi playing.
mm.
But I think when Messi moves on, I'm almost expecting a little bit of a Man United decline without Ferguson. Not to that
Mm,
extent,
mm.
but I don't think it'll be guaranteed that they'll pick up a trophy every single year.
Mm. Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think you've got when you got an elite like once in a generation talent like Messi, and you've almost built a team around him for however long it's been, maybe 10, 12 years. He's basically delivered all kinds of success, carried players to a level above around him, and then suddenly that person goes. I think it is going to be like a huge vacuum, and suddenly players in the dressing room will be looking around thinking, what do we do now? Who's our leader? And it's going to be a very strange kind of couple of years for them. And they haven't really got that. It sounds stupid because you know what Barcelona are about in terms of identity, but I don't know if they've got that, like the train tracks in place to kind of carry on following. I think it's just going to be a bit of a messy period post Messi.
Yeah, again, no pun intended.
Yeah.
Um,
I didn't even
I
do that on purpose, you know what I mean? Oh, nightmare.
but I think it would have been a decent move if Barcelona literally wanted a like for like replacement for Messi for when Messi was leaving.
Mm,
If they still wanted that ball dominant player who was gonna run the attack, and Messi was retiring or whatever, and they signed Coutinho in that summer, I think they would have been able to continue, at a fairly strong level without the dynamics of the team breaking up too much. But
mm,
the fact that they signed him and expected him to play alongside him, it just caused problems. I think. I think already Coutinho was quite an odd tactical fit anyway.
mm,
Um, he's one of them who's not quite a midfielder, but he's not quite a forward either.
mm,
He kind of drifts into that half space, doesn't he, and just kind of like does his thing almost.
mm.
And I think another reason why he was just almost doomed to fail was the fee that they ended up paying for him. If you're gonna pay 140 million or whatever it was for a player, and when he comes to your club, you're gonna give him a functional role. No player executing a functional role is going to be able to live up to more than 100 million. You need
Yeah,
some sort of free, creative, tailored role to live up to that price tag, and
yeah,
they didn't.
yeah. I agree. Just something where they can just kind of explode and do what they want to do and make things happen. And when you're kind of just there to facilitate
I mean,
someone else.
if you're paying over 100 million for a player, what are your minimum expectations of what he's going to do on the pitch for you?
Well, I think if you're looking at attacker, you want to play who's, without sounding really boring, you want to play who's just going to score a lot of goals, assist a lot of goals, make things happen, produce things that we like to call moments, just spectacular moments. And often they can be, a shot from distance into the top corner, just those kind of things. But if you're looking to facilitate another big player around you, the chances are you're, cutting in and you may be more inclined to shoot. But if you're playing this role where you're facilitating someone else, then you may lay it off 5 yards to them. And just these little minute details that, it stops you producing these kind of moments of magic that you'd want for that fee.
Yeah, I mean, I think Liverpool absolutely rinsed Barcelona, to be honest, for that price tag. I rated Coutinho really highly. Still do think he's a really good player. But as I said, he's an odd tactical fit. And if you're paying that much, you have to be ideal for your squad, and he wasn't. I think Liverpool have nailed the definition of basically what a transformational player is. I think you're expecting a transformational player if you're paying in and around 100 million. And to pay in and around 100 million and just deploy him as though he's just another workhorse, if you like. I just found baffling. They're still competing at the top of the game, of course, because they've got Lionel Messi, but if they keep making strange decisions in the transfer market like that, like I think they're still chasing Neymar at like 100 million, and I think Neymar's now pushing 29, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, this is what I was saying. This is why I asked you about the recruitment point, because it's just it just seems sometimes a little bit lazy and not well thought out. It doesn't feel like there's a conversation where they're thinking, is this the right move for the club on the pitch?
Yeah,
I thought the Man United comparison was interesting, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he's since moved to the Bundesliga on loan to Bayern Munich. It's unlikely that Bayern Munich are going to keep him. He's played on the left a little bit as a 10 a little bit. 8 goals in the Liga, 8 goals in the Bundesliga, and 6 assists in about 1,300 minutes. He's actually averaging a scoring contribution, so a goal or an assist every 98 minutes, which it's not bad.
No.
Where do you actually see him ending up?
I do think he might come back to the Premier League, but I don't know. I can't find the potential suitor who it might be. I can't see it being like a Liverpool again, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, depending which side of the fence you're on. I feel like he'll have to take a step down from the true league title competing sides to maybe a Champions League team, so he can then be that player that can have the squad almost built around him again, and he can be the main focal point. I think that's hard to do when you go into a side full of elite players in every position, but I think if he maybe goes to a top 3 or 4 side somewhere, then he can go and be a kind of top player again and the key cog, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, part of me would like to see him under Setien. I think it's because of it's different to Valverde now, so we should be able to perform in the Coutinho way a bit more. But I just can't see Barcelona, letting his value decrease like that. And I think if he does start playing again, I think Barca will have to pay Liverpool a bit more money, something like that, because it's another season or something.
Appearances.
Something like that. But yeah, no, I agree. I think I can't see him going to United. Can't see him going to City or Liverpool. Maybe but they've just bought Ziyech, who's very, very similar.
Yeah.
Spurs possibly, but I can't see them affording them.
No, I saw him getting linked with Newcastle 2 weeks ago.
I've actually seen him linked with Leicester.
No.
Joining up with Rodgers again.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he's still got a level. I know Leicester obviously going to be Champions League team.
Put this way. I've got a little thing for you now. So if Leicester sell Maddison for over 60 million and sign Coutinho for about the same amount, what are you saying?
I think that's a good deal for Leicester. Definitely.
Yeah, I would say it was as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't see him going there, though. Can you?
No, that's it. I just think he's a little bit, and this is no disrespect to Leicester. As I said, he's been a good side this year, but he's just a little bit too high in stock for me, I think, to be going to Leicester.
Yeah, same.
More of an established year in, year out Champions League team, I think. I just can't think of who that club is at the moment.
No, same. That's why I think if Barcelona are desperate to let him go and they don't even want to give him a chance from the Setien, you might really have to let him go for really cheap, as in like below half what he signed him for.
What about
like 50 million or below?
What about Arsenal? Given that our producers just flagged those links.
Well, they're a strange club in terms of saying that they've got no money and then pay 80 million for Nicolas Pepe. So if they can afford him, it'll be an interesting one. I think Arsenal could spend the money a bit more wisely, a bit more efficiently. But as I said, it depends how much he's available for. If he's available for below 50 million, maybe it's a conversation. I don't know. It's worth looking into because I think he is a difference maker on his day. He can win you games and stuff like that. Ridiculous player. 27's a dodgy age, isn't it?
Yeah, you're getting close. You don't know what the next 2 years will pull up. You could still be, at the top of your game, or you could just quickly drift off. It is a tough age, especially when you're talking big sums. Just on that producing winning moments, I think what I like about him, or you have to like about him, is he produces them, but then he also performs in between them, and I think that's always a difference with some players. Whereas you've got players who can produce moments of magic, but they don't really do that much in between. Whereas he kind of does the bits in between and then still goes on to produce these big moments.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of the most technical players I've ever seen in terms of his first touch and his close control and stuff like that. So if he was to go to any team that was, possession based without having a Messi next to you who's going to dominate the ball, I can see him doing quite well. But I think he's done all right at Bayern. I think he's just suffered from the odd little injury. But I think we'll leave Coutinho there anyway and move on to arguably an even more controversial figure in Emre Can. Again, before we get into it, thoughts?
I think he's a good, solid player that deserves to be. Well, I don't say deserves. That's the wrong term. I think he's a good, solid player that doesn't look out of place at top sides across Europe. I just think he is a player that needs
money, isn't he?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, I just think he needs to be in a side where the formation suits him. So I don't necessarily think he's the best. Put this way, I couldn't see him play in the Fabinho role for Liverpool just as a lone number 6. I feel like if he's sitting deep, he has to be in a double pivot. And I just think he's got little flaws like that in his game that stop him being like an elite player for me.
Yeah, I mean, for me, he is and always has been a good player, but I wouldn't go any more than that, and I wouldn't go any worse than that either. He's obviously very physical. I think he's about 6 foot as well. Really clean technically. That was one thing I picked up on very early with him. He's just a nice, tidy player to watch on the ball and that. Really versatile as well. Can play centre back to the extent that I think in some systems, I think he'd actually thrive as a centre back. Because there's been times where I've questioned whether he's a midfielder or not, but then he'll score an overhead kick against Watford, and I'll question whether I'm even talking sense. He's quite good mentally as well, from what I can pick up on him. He's quite driven and things like that. Good at carrying the ball, but I don't know. There was just something about him. You always felt that he fell short of his ceiling. He was inclined to take too many touches for my liking. And slower tackle moves down.
Do you think he lacks a little bit of mobility at times? I don't know. For me, it just feels a little bit. I don't want to say slow and labor because he's not slow. I'm not saying he is slow, but he just seems. I don't know, because he's big and it's a little bit tougher to get around the pitch at the same speed as someone who's a little bit nippier.
Yeah, do you mean like acceleration then, do you mean? Or?
Yeah, acceleration. Yeah, I'd say acceleration. He's just. There's just something there to watch him, and I think he's a little bit easier to play around than maybe some other players in
Yeah,
that
I know
position.
what you mean. I don't think he's as mobile as an Ox, for example, Oxlade-Chamberlain. Yeah. And I feel as if he was playing against Henderson, you'd get harried a bit more. And Henderson would be in your face a bit more. I do think that Can was quite a good presser back at Liverpool. But I think if you just look at the pressing numbers, you maybe overlook certain other aspects of his game. One thing I didn't like with Can, I always felt, and I've asked myself plenty of times since, are you being biased here? Are you just being a Liverpool fan here? But I'm pretty sure I'm not. I've always thought he viewed Liverpool as a stepping stone, and I never really liked that. Even when Klopp came, and Can's last game at Liverpool was actually a Champions League final. But I still always felt that he viewed himself above the club and better than the club in terms of his ability. And maybe that stems from when he moved to Liverpool. We weren't really competing at the top end. We had Rodgers in charge. We just bought Markovic and sold Suarez, I think. But I think I always got the perception that he thought that his ability was deserving of a higher level, and I never saw it. As I said, he was just a good player, but no chance was he for me. You know, a player who would start in a team that's consistently competing at the top end of Europe. I think he, in one of those squads, for me, he'll always be what he's been for Juventus, as in a player who just comes in and out, does a job, plays some minutes in domestic cups, and is a good, solid player. But he's not it's a weird one.
No, I get it. Yeah, no, I do get it. I think what I would say is if you look at Liverpool at that stage now, we're going back 2 years, and even when they got to the Champions League final, it still felt as if like, is this now going to launch something, or is it going to be sustainable? You weren't too sure, and I just wonder maybe that played in his mind. And obviously, you were seeing at that point Liverpool as a top 4 side, whereas now you see them as like the best in England. Obviously, just won the Champions League.
I find it mad that he couldn't see that happening though, because I at the time I could see it going that way. We just looked like a really healthy club with our heads screwed on, and I couldn't get my head around why he was so intent on leaving.
Because I think he could have stayed, to be honest. I think if he wanted to stay, because there was contracts, wasn't there, negotiations.
Yeah, well, I've got written down here that he could still fairly comfortably play in this Liverpool team. I'm not sure whether he'd play as a 6 or whether he'd play as an 8. If he stayed, I have thoughts on. I actually think if Can had stayed, I don't think we'd have signed Fabinho. I think we signed Fabinho as the 6 who could also play as a centre back, also play as a right back, big, tall, that sort of thing. And I don't think I doubt we'll have needed him if Can stayed.
I just don't love the idea of Can being a sole number 6. I just, maybe it goes back to that kind of mobility point I was talking about. He just doesn't seem as robust in there. I know he is big and strong, and I'm struggling to articulate what the point I'm trying to make, but I think, as I said, he's always better with a partner in that role. Like if you look at Dortmund now, he's doing Witzel, isn't he? I think they work fairly well together. I know we haven't seen that much of it since the restart, but before that, I think that works quite well. I just think he always looks. I think even at Juventus, he was normally playing with someone alongside him. But just going on to your point there, I think he could have fitted quite well. Bear in mind, we know this midfield works at Liverpool. I think he could have been a decent 8.
Yeah, he did play as an 8 in his final season, I think. And I think that was, I might be wrong here, but I think that was one of the reasons why he became a little bit unhappy, because I think he wanted the 6. And at the time, Klopp gave Henderson the 6. But, I mean, he's a strange one. I've always thought, I mean, he left age 24 for free, which, is the type of deal that Liverpool absolutely want to avoid. It's something that I'm surprised we even let happen, to be honest. But in the positive is that we only paid 10 million for him anyway. So, I suppose you've got your money's worth to an extent, although you haven't got a fee for improving him, I suppose. But yeah, he seemed to have a quite a high ceiling. I thought at Liverpool, and I was a little bit worried when he left that what he was going to go on and become a little bit. But very quickly, I was like, this is his level. This is where he's going to be. He's not going to get better than this. And I've always kind of looked at him as, maybe I'm a little bit harsh here, but a bit of a passerby, as in he came to the club, did a job, left, hasn't left a mark. We haven't missed him since. It's just a, you know what I mean, another transfer, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah, as I say, he's a top level player, but he's just not elite. That's it. So he's gone to. So if you look at his path now, after Liverpool, he's went Juventus. Now he's gone to. Is it only on loan at Dortmund, isn't it?
No, I think he signed.
Oh, he signed. Okay, so he's gone to
Yeah,
Dortmund.
25,
You could see
25
him
million.
being at a Dortmund, and then you could maybe see him going to somewhere like I don't know, really bad example here. So like a Seville or something, you know, someone that's kind of always up
Yeah.
there, but maybe not necessarily always competing.
I think at a Dortmund though, and at a Sevilla or a team like that, he will be quite, you know, one of the pillars of those teams. I think if you climb to a Champions League club or a team that's competing to win the Champions League, maybe he falls into the on off the substitutes bench kind of player.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, as I said, I find it mad that he couldn't predict where Liverpool were going, and I find it mad that he wasn't aware of what Juventus were clearly doing by signing them. Juventus, in my opinion, got the perfect deal out of him because they got him for 3, used him for I think maybe 2 seasons on and off the bench, and then 25 months for the service. Easy, good business. And I find it mad that he couldn't see that coming, or maybe he could. I don't know.
Yeah. What was his wages like over there?
At Juventus, I'm not sure.
Because I don't know if he's a player that's motivated by success or motivated by money. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I don't know enough about his character. But you wonder if Juventus are offering big bucks, probably a massive signing on fee as well. If he's gone for free, that might have been the more appealing thing.
Yeah. No, I'm not sure. He's just always been a difficult player to define. I think one of the reasons he causes such conflict in Liverpool's fan base is you've got the people that underrate him, and because the people that underrate him talk him down, you've got the others who talk him up. So you usually find in those situations that it's usually in the middle. That's kind of the way the player is. But he's either over exaggerated or underrated. But for me, he is firmly just in the middle. He's just a good player. If he stayed at Liverpool, fine. I think he'd be doing okay. I think he'd probably be a better player than he is now if he did.
Yeah.
He'd have a Champions League. He'd have a Premier League medal in about a month's time. But you know, we move on.
Yeah, well, the biggest positive you can say from a Liverpool point of view, he hasn't really been missed. Yeah, he would have played a role, but you know, they've kind of got on quite easily without him.
Yeah, and I think crucially as well, he's been well replaced. I think in the summer that he left, I think we signed Naby Keita and Fabinho. Obviously, you can't really argue with that. Henderson's improved, Wijnaldum's improved. So yeah, no looking back, really no regrets on that one. Apart from the fact that he left for free.
Yeah, that's the only sticker. But you know, sadly, it was the player that kind of did that to Liverpool, which may be why there's some ill feeling left towards it all.
Yeah. So we've got quite a few names left, so we'll have to reel through these a bit quicker now that we've got through the big 2.
Yeah.
But Luis Alberto, one of the most creative midfielders in Europe in the modern day. I've got written down here because I think his numbers are quite well. They are really strong, aren't they? Beneath the surface, and even in terms of his assists, he registers a fair few assists.
Yeah, I didn't expect it, to be honest, and I never really thought that much of. Didn't really pay much attention to him, actually, even being honest, at Liverpool. But did he go to Roma before Lazio?
I don't think so. I'll check that now.
Wrong.
He might have went somewhere. In fact, he went to Malaga.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Malaga it was, yeah.
But yeah, he's turned out to be a really a really good player. Obviously just in the midst of his prime now, 27, but yeah, you know, he's got fantastic vision, kind of operating like the half space, doesn't he? Seems to do really well in terms of finding little pockets of space in between the lines, and you've already touched on it there. Load of assists, a ton of key passes, really creative. I think he's quite good as well off the ball. He seems to press quite well, and kind of win a lot of balls high up the pitch, and he's just a really good creative player. Whether he would be that standout at Liverpool, I don't know, because we were talking about a Coutinho type earlier, weren't we? I don't know if maybe he is a lesser version of a Coutinho where he's the kind of main focus in possession. But I'm surprised that was Quay's turned out. Actually, he's gone out to be a really good player.
Yeah, he has. One thing I've put down here that I was really surprised by, because at the time when we signed him, I wasn't, in this line of work, and I didn't have this perception on the game. I didn't really look at what we bought. But if in the upcoming summer, considering the coronavirus and that, and people wanting to save money, Liverpool, when we signed Alberto, wanted to save a bit of money as well. So if in the summer we signed a 19-year-old from Barcelona who had just registered 11 goals and 16 assists in the second division, that's a fair return, that, for a teenager. And we got him for, I'll double check now, I haven't got it written down, but I think it was about 6 million.
Oh shit.
Might have even been less than that.
So
But I just think, considering those numbers at Barcelona, and he arrives as a teenager, I just think that's quite a shrewd move that I wasn't really aware of at the time. Obviously, it didn't work out. Maybe it was just too much of a climate shift for him to adjust at that age. But yeah, I was quite surprised that we got what seemed to be such a talent.
So I'm just trying to work out his career path. So he was at Sevilla and then went to, what was it? It's confusing, this transfer market sometimes. And then he goes to Barcelona B, and is that on loan, and then goes back to them, and then Liverpool buy him from Sevilla. Is that right?
You know what? I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, it's
6.8 million we got him for, and he was at Sevilla when we signed him.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that the season before we got him, he spent that at Barcelona B in the Segunda division.
Yeah, that's what looks to be the case. I mean, irrespective of that, it's a good point you made. Like that's an exciting player, and I can't really remember why it didn't work out for him. Why he wasn't getting too many chances at the club. Was it just because it was that insane period where Liverpool were they had Suarez, Sturridge, and they were fit, and Sterling was in and around as well. Coutinho was already in the team. It just wasn't a place for them.
Yeah, well, at the time, obviously, he was around 20 years old. He is quite slow as a player. He's not the most physical. And Liverpool at that time were, built on speed, really, and intensity. And, with Sterling, Sturridge, Suarez, Coutinho arrived in the January window. So I just think he didn't get much of a chance, to be honest.
It's funny. I think he'd be better suited, probably. I mean, one thing I have said is I think he does. I think the PL talking like America there. I think the Premier League is too. I think the Premier League's too physical for him. I think that, Serie A is quite slow and a little bit more time and things. I think that's why he's so successful there. I'm not sure whether he could do that what he's doing now at Liverpool, but I think the way Liverpool kind of dominate the ball now compared to when he was there originally, I think he'd actually be better suited for this Liverpool team than maybe the team that he joined.
Yeah, but I think some players can have that problem in terms of, you got De Bruyne, you've got Salah. These players had a bit of a chance, only a little one at that, but a bit of a chance in England. Didn't shine enough. Went and kind of matured in a foreign league. Salah himself was in Italy. And then they came back to obviously, prove themselves, sort of thing. But no one actually made tracks eventually to bring Alberto back. But it would have been nice to see how he performed. We actually sold him for only 5 million, so we actually took a hit on him. But the caveat being, we negotiated a 30% sell-on clause. So if he did do something along the lines of Salah or De Bruyne, Liverpool would have got a fair amount for him there. But I think he's only recently moved to Sevilla. I think he's back at Sevilla now, isn't he? No.
I've still gone down as Lazio at the moment.
And when I'm getting mixed up with Suso.
Yeah, we'll come on to him in a bit. But one thing I will say, Josh, just on that point, it looks like I can't work out if there was some fees in terms of the loan deals, which means Liverpool might have brought in a few quid there, which is good.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Probably broke even over this time. Which, no, if a player's not going to work out, if you can at very least get the money back, then you're happy, aren't you?
Yeah. Another player who suffered during a similar period, I think he arrived in the same summer, and he's also gone on to do quite serious things, really.
Yeah.
Iago Aspas.
Yeah.
Surprised looking at the numbers.
Yeah, because I remember he just seemed a joke player, didn't he? But not being too harsh there, I hope.
Yeah, well, again, this was 7 years ago or so. So I didn't watch the game as I watch it now. But my recollection of him is he was awful. That's my recollection of him. But maybe if I watched him in the modern day, maybe I'd have a bit more support for him because of what he was doing or something like that. But at the time, just watching football, I suppose, from an entertainment perspective, he just seemed bad. He seemed slow, really, really lightweight. Didn't offer much. That's what I remember.
And I mean that's still pretty much the case. Again, he's probably in a league that suits him. He's 5'9", so he's not very kind of domineering in the box. He's not a big physical presence. He doesn't have much pace or stamina, but I mean he just seems to be really clinical in front of goal. I actually brought up some of the numbers, and admittedly I don't know how many penalties I do think he takes them, but his XG across the last 2 and a bit seasons or 2 3/4 seasons is roughly 40. And he scored 53 goals, which I think's impressive, and he highlights him as a sharpshooter, I guess, someone who is clinical in front of goal.
But
I mean, again, this is a place that suits him.
Yeah, I mean, again, this was around the time where I've just mentioned that Liverpool were looking for bargains, trying to save a little bit of money. And again, it looks like a really depends, I suppose. It looks like a really shrewd move in a way because he signed aged 25. So just entering his peak for just 7 million. And in the previous 2 seasons, he'd scored 23 goals and assisted 7 in the Spanish second division. And then when he got promoted with Celta, he scored 12 and assisted 7. So you're getting that player aged 25 for 7 million. It's just another move that looks like quite clever on the, if you remove yourself from it. It's just a shame that when he did come to England, it didn't really work for him. But I don't know if a team made that move now, maybe not Liverpool, because I think Liverpool are too big for that sort of thing. But if someone like, I don't know, a Watford or a Bournemouth or, a team like that, Wolves maybe, was to make that signing, I'd look at that with a bit of intrigue.
Yeah, I think if we scratch a little bit on the surface as well, if you look at under that period, because one thing I would say is, he scored goals, but maybe there was a lack of consideration about whether he'd fit the style. But I don't want to be too harsh on Rodgers here, but that kind of, his philosophy before his big kind of break with Liverpool or that big season was possession based, wasn't it, and dominance. And he'd probably maybe suit that style a little bit more in terms of just being a poacher in and around the box. That could have been why he signed him, but of course Liverpool ended up developing into a bit of a team who exploded in transition, have loads of pace and hit it on the counter. And again, it's probably just it didn't work out because he was, the wrong player at the wrong time.
Yeah, I mean, in that season, that 2013-14 season, he only played 380 minutes in the Premier League. Posted 1 assist, but he hasn't really been given much of a chance there, to be honest. They obviously developed a reputation for that terrible corner against Chelsea. I don't think he could speak the language. I think that was one of the problems. I don't think he made an effort to learn the language.
Yeah.
But I don't know, for whatever reason, Rodgers just didn't really give him a go. And then once moving back to Celta, these are the scoring seasons, right? So once he moved back, he scored 14, then he scored 19, then he scored 22, then he scored 20, and this season he scored 9 so far. and now he's now aged 32. That's a fair return now for as an attacking player, a striker. I think he's left-footed as well, so he's played on the right a little bit. And that's only in La Liga. That's borderline for 3 seasons. There, he's a 20-goal season striker.
Yeah, that's it. And he's obviously overperformed against his XG and stuff, which is, shows that he's quite clinical. And yeah, I think he's just a really good finisher that maybe lacks some of the other facets to his game that would make him a top striker. But he's obviously in the Liga where it's a more technical division, isn't it? It's more about you can get away with just being a little bit smaller, a little bit better on the ball, and you don't need that kind of physical edge as well to succeed every week. Maybe what you do in the Premier League.
Yeah, was a strange one because I'm not sure who you'd blame for that. Whether you'd blame Liverpool for not using him properly, because usually a player who thrives then fails at your club and then thrives again. Usually you've got to blame the club for not, giving them the foundations to succeed. But at the same time, maybe you just weren't suited to the country and the style of play.
Yeah,
one of them strange ones, I suppose. So we'll move on to a slightly different scenario. Mamadou Sakho, one of the few players who's left Liverpool simply because he didn't seem to get on with Klopp. Not disciplined enough for Klopp, really. He clashed. I think he was late a few times and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, knowing what Klopp is like, it's quite surprising that Klopp can have much of an issue with anyone, really. I think he will always keep his control, keep his leadership, and be firm and things like that. And I find it hard to believe that there's players out there who wouldn't respect that, but for whatever reason they haven't seemed to get on. But yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on Sakho?
I'd say, you know what, for me, a lot of people don't really rate him. I actually think he's a well-rounded defender. I just think, like, his persona off the pitch, I think he can just be a little bit wild sometimes, and the odd lapse in concentration. And we've seen with Van Dijk and Gomez how important it is to have like a calm and presence. Because I think that radiates across the team, gives players in front a bit more faith behind them. Whereas when you've got a little bit of an erratic player like him, another player who comes to mind in that sense is probably Lovren as well. When you've got those kind of players in there, you just don't feel as, I guess you don't feel as safe. And I think that's the problem with him. I think he's always going to be a Premier League quality defender. But I think for that reason, I've just stated he couldn't really be a top Liverpool player.
Yeah. I'll probably argue that he's a bare minimum top half defender. Maybe a bit above Palace level, to be honest.
Okay.
I remember his performance on Klopp's first match away to Spurs, and this was Pochettino's Spurs as well. And he was incredible. He was an absolute monster. Sweeping up everything, getting his head on everything. Really dominant he was. I think that was why I was quite surprised, because I thought Klopp would play into that. I thought Klopp would really respect that, and I thought Klopp would give him like just the bits that his character needed for him to feel important, so that he could just be a real, warrior in Liverpool's defence. But it just never really panned out that way. He always appeared quite rigid, I thought, and clumsy on the ball, and people seemed to dive on that. But he wasn't really. He never really gave the ball away that much, and he was quite composed, even though he looked a bit stiff and things like that. I think he was a bit of a leader of sorts in terms of being a cult hero for the fans and stuff like that. I remember he said something about, something about the Liverpool country or something like that. Welcome to the Liverpool country or something. He said I was going to put on a flag. One thing I will say, I'm quite happy with the business that we did, because he left age 27 for about 26 million, which I think that's a solid deal.
Yeah, I think that's good money for a player that wasn't really going to be a starter at Liverpool. I'm just trying.
Go on. I was going to say, I think he's since been okay. He's been fine, hasn't he? But he hasn't really showcased himself as the best defender in the bottom half, or or something like that.
I think it's too easy for some players when they've probably like. I can't think where did he come from before Liverpool?
He actually came from PSG, and they didn't
Okay.
want to let him go either. He was captain of PSG, I think.
He's in PSG and Liverpool. He's had like kind of his marquee clubs, in my opinion, where he'll be saying to his kids and stuff or his grandkids, I used to play for PSG, Liverpool. When you're at somewhere a safe club like Palace, where you're never really going to compete at the top, I think it's easy to just go through the motions a little bit as a player. And I just wonder whether he's done that. He's coasted a little bit over the past season or two. Maybe I'm being really harsh. I don't know him well enough, but that's just the perception I've got on him a little bit. And yeah, he's represented decent business for Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately with Sakho, you've just got to have ultimate faith really in Klopp, and I think if Klopp deems someone to be a bad egg, for me, it's highly likely that he is a bad egg, even though I never really picked up on that much of Sakho being a troublemaker or anything like that. But Klopp just knows what he's doing, and if Klopp deems it to be a decision to get out of the club, I can't really question that. No reason to doubt that whatsoever. So next, Danny Ings, still a bit of a favourite on Merseyside, and he's actually really made a claim since, hasn't he? That he was Liverpool quality almost.
Yeah, to an extent. I think if you look either side of his time at Liverpool, so Burnley, I know they went down that year, but I think he scored those 11 goals. And a side that don't create a lot, really. You look at his time at Burnley, and then since he's gone to Southampton, he's over the last 18 months, he's proven to be like a really good goal scorer.
If you actually look at his time at Burnley, it was actually a really good deal, I thought, for Liverpool.
Yeah, but wasn't it? Didn't have to go to court or something? If I remember correctly.
It went to tribunal, to determine what we paid for him. But I think we ended up paying about 8 million for an English homegrown 22-year-old striker who'd scored a few in the Prem. So I think it was a very good deal.
Yeah, but yeah, I think he's just I think he's a good player. Obviously, if you compare him to like a Firmino 9, it's a little bit different because he obviously operates a little bit more in the penalty area, Ings. But yeah, he's a he's a really good goal scorer, and I think he's quite good off the ball as well. Southampton tend to press a fair bit, and he leads it a lot of the time. I think he's a good player.
Yeah, he is. I think he's always had talent. He's always had a knack in and around the box to get chances and things like that. And when he gets those chances, he puts them away. I think the obvious issue though throughout the whole of his time at Liverpool was that he couldn't really stay fit.
Yeah.
There's reason to suggest that he couldn't really cope with the demands of Klopp's physical, training and things like that behind the scenes. To the extent that he'd pick up niggles or a lot of his injuries were just two massive ACL injuries, I think they were, or something like that. I think he got one and then got another straight after.
Yeah, I think it was the other leg as well. I think, or
just incredibly unlucky, to be honest.
Yeah, and then there's always that they're the worst injuries where you just have no clue what state the player is going to come back. So many players just never really get back up to speed, do they, after them? But I think it's helped. You might look at that move now. Some people might look at the move and go, was it a little bit of a mistake Liverpool could they have done with him maybe coming onto the pitch? But Ings wasn't a success as soon as he went to Southampton. I think he only scored maybe 7 goals initially. But it's helped just playing week in, week out, isn't it? And getting back up to that kind of sharpness. I don't think that ever would have happened at Liverpool.
Yeah, and I think they've managed time well as well. I think even when matches have been, in the balance and things like that, they've still took him off as planned on the 60th minute or whatever. And, rather than playing him twice in the space of a week because they need wins, I think Hasenhutl's been willing to just say, no, he needs a rest, put him on a bench. And it's benefited him. And he obviously left the club as well, despite his injuries and despite what we paid for 20 million. So can't really argue with anything about things, to be honest. I wish him well and stuff like that.
Josh, would you argue that was probably a deal that suited both parties? Because
A deal at
from a
which?
Southampton suit both parties. Because from a Southampton point of view, they've ended up buying a prolific goal scorer for 20 mil, who's English.
Yeah, but to be honest, at the time, I actually thought it was a bad deal for Southampton.
Oh yeah,
And the
so
reason,
I thought it was hilarious, but
yeah,
got me eye wiped though. You know, I got put in my place. I was completely wrong.
yeah. No, but the only reason I thought that was because he couldn't stay fit. That was it. I mean, I knew he was a decent player. He was English and all stuff like that, and grown. Still only 26 when he left. But I thought he'd never play. So I thought they'd be paying the 20 million for a player that we can never get on the pitch, and they're not going to be able to get him on the pitch either. But obviously, this season, I assume without Danny Ings, they'd probably be in the relegation zone.
Yeah.
Mind you, they've had a good season, but I just mean that player who gets your results by finding the net. You take that away from them, different game.
Yeah. Well, spot on.
We'll move on to a player from even area than any of the players we've mentioned. I think Suso. He was, deemed as a real talent at Liverpool. Come through the academy. He just looked like he had the potential to reach a decent level. But he ended up leaving for 1 million at age 21 to AC Milan. Since, he's been okay, played at a decent level. AC Milan to Sevilla now. But yeah, I mean, do you got any thoughts on him? Have you ever, watched him play and things like that? Because I haven't caught much of him since he's left.
No, to be honest with you, Josh, that was exactly what I was going to say to you. I looked into him, and I've heard his name a lot over the years, but the impression is he's a good technical player. A quick look at the numbers, it seems to suggest he shoots a lot, and from
Would you
distance.
would you would you say he's almost an average version of Coutinho,
Yeah,
even to the
I
extent that he
would.
looks like him?
Yeah, I would. He seems to, I'm not sure if he plays on the opposite side, but yeah,
He is that footage, yeah.
yeah. So he obviously he plays on the opposite side, but there's a lot of similarities. Except he's probably just, whereas Coutinho's gone up the gears and gone up a level. I think he's kind of maintained at that, shooting from distance, a little bit wasteful, can produce moments, but maybe not consistent enough, and he's just basically a good but not great player. Is the impression I get.
Yeah, I get the same, to be honest. I got the impression he's more of a creator than a scorer. His best season since leaving. League season, this is, so excluding, domestic cups and European competitions, his best season, best return at least, is 7 goals and 10 assists. Not bad.
Yeah, so
he's now age 26, on loan at Sevilla. For some reason, I'm not sure why he's on loan. Don't see what the perk is of sending a 26-year-old on loan, but
no.
His expected assist numbers I look at as well. They're generally decent each season. I think the modern Liverpool, Michael Edwards and things like that, would have sold him for a lot more. I think they would have got a lot more value out of him. But I still don't think he would have made it at Liverpool even in the current regime. But just a decent player, I thought.
Yeah, that's it. He's not. I don't think he's a player Liverpool ever missed. But
No,
yeah,
I think the only regret is the fee we got for him.
Yeah. No, that's
To
fair.
produce him out of your academy, and him being, a European top end player, I suppose. 1 million, age 21. That's an absolute steal.
Yeah. Did he go straight to AC Milan? He did, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's a good deal for them.
After being loaned out, I think, once or twice.
Right.
So we'll move on to another player who's been loaned out recently. Still on loan now, actually. Harry Wilson. This is another player who's, I think a lot of Liverpool fans have got quite an opinion on. A lot of Liverpool fans, I get the vibe anyway. They want to see him given a chance, but I don't know. For me, he's not Liverpool standard.
No, he's just checked now. He's just turned 23 in March. Yeah, I don't even think he's been playing week in, week out for Bournemouth. I don't think there's been injury issues there. I could be wrong, but I think he can play at a Premier League level, or maybe at top championship side level, but not Liverpool. He just doesn't seem to possess the kind of you know, if you think he's competing with Salah, basically, isn't he? I just don't think he has much of the kind of pace or physicality for that role. I think you'd have to maybe look at him. If he was better defensively, Josh, would you think he'd be better as maybe like a wing type position for someone?
So it's not a bad shout. I've never heard that one before about Harry Wilson, because he is left-footed. Maybe a backup to Andy Robertson, but I don't think he's that way inclined now. I think he's too far from being a defensive player to just stick at left back, I think.
Yeah.
But there's positives to his profile, though. As I said, he's left-footed. He's clearly capable when shooting from range. Obviously, he's got that about his game. Still only 23, homegrown, quite versatile on attacking positions.
Yeah.
But he's just not. He's not Liverpool standard for me. Not quick enough.
You know what? You know what I think would be a good move for him. Although I don't think he's as good, sadly. But I think to soften the blow, if Burnley lost McNeil and maybe just brought him in as someone who kind of, you know, crosses the ball in for them, a traditional kind of winger.
Yeah, I think of teams like Bournemouth, to be honest, and Southampton, Norwich, Brighton, teams like that. I do think he's Premier League standard, but I just don't think if you're competing for Champions Leagues each season, even if he's a backup player for you, I still don't think he's just not enough of a threat. I don't think you've got much to worry about if you're playing a game. And I think if you're playing for Liverpool, you need that.
Yeah, he's got 7 goals and no assists. I hope I'm wrong there. I'm sure he's got 7 goals, no assists this season, which I don't know. It feels like his bag is a little bit to be a creative player.
Yeah,
which,
I think he's reached the point for me where, because of the publicity he's got this season in the Premier League, still aged 23, and all of those positives I've just mentioned about him being homegrown and stuff, I think he's at an age where it makes sense to cash in. I think you'd be able to get about 20 million for that, usually anyway. I mean, maybe not in this window, but usually. But anyway, looking at the time, we've been talking quite a bit here.
Oh yeah, okay.
I think we've surpassed the hour mark. So we were going to touch on Grujic, but I think we'll leave it there just to play safe. So maybe that's another one for another episode.
Yeah, because there's a couple of others, isn't there, by the way, that like this like Solanke and Ibe that would have been maybe good to touch on, but we won't have time this week.
Yeah, maybe that's another episode, we'll see.
Yeah.
Any suggestions for any further episodes, just give us a shout on Twitter. And yeah, thanks for joining us, Dave.
Yeah, cheers Josh, cheers everyone.
And we will see you next week. Cheers.